Okay, after this we are going to see the third law. To this we have studied two laws, that is first one is law of conservation of mass, second one is law of a fixed proportion. Okay, I hope you will understand it. If you want, you can take the snapshot. I will proceed. Okay. So here in this law, in order to verify, two examples are important. You can take any examples. I am just giving simple examples. Okay, day-to-day examples. Then third law is law of multiple proportion. See, according to this law, as we all know, again we are combining a compound we will get by combining the elements by fixed ratio of weight and volume, as we already discussed. When we combine two or more elements in order to get compounds, and if mass of the one element is fixed or constant, and then the mass of second element bears whole number ratio with to each other, we can say. For example, what it means, let us say any two elements, we can say. First one I am going to consider nitrogen and second oxygen. Okay, these elements I am going to combine them all. Then what will happen, according to this law, I am going to combine them to get the oxides of nitrogen, isn't it? So we all know when we combine oxygen and nitrogen, we will get oxides of nitrogen. And if we kept constant the mass of one element, that is I am going to kept constant mass of nitrogen, then second element bears whole number ratio with each other, isn't it? So let's see how it happens with the help of this example only. So when we combine nitrogen and oxygen, we will get oxides. So there are totally, we will get 5 oxides. So I am just writing it down one by one. First one is I am getting N2O, that is nitrous oxide. Second I will get NO, isn't it? Third I will get, that is nitric oxide, we can say. Third one is N2O3. N2O3. Fourth one is NO2, nitrogen dioxide, and fifth one is, let us say, N2O5, nitrogen pentoxide. N2O5. Okay, so after combination or after combining the nitrogen and oxygen, I will get these 5 oxides. Now what I will do, I will just write down here weight of nitrogen, and in second column I am going to write the weight of oxygen. Okay, oxygen. See, then what will happen, I am just drawing a table so that it will be more convenient for all of us. So this is okay. In this C, so first I am going to calculate weight of nitrogen, I am going to write down here, then of oxygen I am going to write down here. For 2 atoms, so it becomes 28. 1 atom of oxygen, it is 16. Is it okay? Then 1 atom, it is 14. It is 1, therefore it is 16 as it is. I am writing down atomic mass. Okay, then it is N2O3 means 28, 2 atoms of nitrogen, 3 atoms means 16, 3 are 48. Then it is NO2 means 14, O2 means 32. Okay, then N2O5 means again it is 28, and O5 is 16, 5 is 80. So I am just writing down the weight of nitrogen and weight of oxygen according to the oxides. So they are nothing but the oxides of nitrogen. So if we see, according to the law, I am going to combine two or I'm going to combine the elements nitrogen and oxide, I will get 2 or more elements, isn't it? So I will get 5 elements, 5 oxides of nitrogen. Then if mass of first element is kept constant, means what? I am going to constant the mass. Let us say I am going to convert them into 14. So let us say 14 is the constant mass. So for converting it to 14, I have to divide it by 2. So it becomes 14. So here I am going to divide it by 2. So here also I have to divide it by 2. So it becomes 8. Okay. So 14 as it is, minimum mass. 28 is again I am going to convert it into 14. So if I am divided it by 2, so here also becomes 24. Then here NO2 it is 14 itself, so it will be 32 for oxygen. Then again I am going to convert this into 14 and this becomes 40. Okay, I have to divide it by 2 again. So if we see the first element, mass of first element is kept constant as 14. Okay, and if we see second element, that is oxygen, bears a whole number ratio 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. So I am going to write down here the ratio here. Ratio of oxygen. Okay. So if we see 8 is to 16 is to 24 is to 32 is to 40. Means what? 1 is to 2. If I will simplify it, it is 3, it is 4 and it is 5, isn't it? So second element, mass of second element appears whole number ratio with each other, isn't it? So 1 is to 2, 3 is to 1 is to 2 is to 3 is to 4 is to 5. So in this way, according to this statement, this law is verified. Again I will repeat this statement. If 2 or more elements will combine in order to get 1 or more compounds, and if mass of one element is kept constant and second element bears a whole number ratio to each other. Okay, this is the statement of law of multiple proportion. Okay, you can give any examples. This is I think this is convenient. It will be easier for you to understand, so I am giving here this example. So in this way you can understand this. I just write down the oxides of nitrogen here, and according to the oxides I just write down the weight of nitrogen and weight of oxygen, and I will kept constant this weight of nitrogen as 14, and then it is observed that 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. So second element bears a whole number ratio with each other. So this is what the statement. Okay, now after this law we are going to discuss about fourth law, that is known as law of a reciprocal proportion. Okay, is it clear to you all? Okay, good. Okay, we are going to discuss about law of fourth law, that is law of a reciprocal proportion. Okay. So see, according to this law, I will give you first example, then we will see the statement. It will be more clear for you all. So for example, I am considering 3 elements in a compound. So here I am going to give you 2 examples. So after that we will see the statement. First example, in which I am going to consider hydrogen, then sulfur, then oxygen as 3 elements. I am going to combine these 3 elements and I will get compounds. So let us see, here hydrogen, here sulfur and here oxygen. When I will combine this, I will get H2S. Okay, when I will combine this, I will get H2O, isn't it? When I will combine sulfur with oxygen, I will get SO2. Okay, if you see here, I will get 3 compounds from 3 different elements. Here we can say that if 3 elements are combined, we will get 3 different compounds. Okay, so in this example, if we see, if you take the ratio of, let us say, hydrogen with sulfur, so here 2 is to sulfur is 32, so it becomes 1 is to 16, isn't it? I'm taking the ratio of atomic masses, or I'm considering by weight, ratio by weight. For example, I'm going to consider when hydrogen will combine with oxygen. So again this will be 2 is to 16. If I will simplify it, I will get this as a ratio 1 is to 8. So this is your first case, this is your second compound, and I'm going to discuss about third, that is SO2. Okay, when this sulfur will combine with oxygen, this becomes 32, and oxygen 2 atoms are there, it is also 32. If I will simplify it, I will get as a 1 is to 1. Okay, now if you see in this example, when sulfur will combine with hydrogen, I will get 1 is to 16. When oxygen is combined with H2, I will get 1 is to 18. Here if we see the ratio in first two examples, I am discussing about first two compounds, sulfur to oxygen, ratio of sulfur to oxygen, if we see, it is 16 is to 8, or I can write this as a S2O is a 16 is to 8 or 2 is to 1, isn't it? So sulfur to oxygen, I will get 2 is to 1 as the ratio. Now what about this sulfur combined with oxygen? I will get this ratio as a 1 is to 1, isn't it? So in this case, when sulfur mixed with oxygen, I will get this S upon O equal to 1 is to 1, isn't it? So I can say that when two elements combine with same element, okay, then I will get the ratio, mass ratio, either same or multiple. Why I am saying multiple? Because this is, if I will multiply it by 2, so let us say I am multiplying it by 2, I will get 2 is to 1, isn't it? So this is what I got here when I will combine with hydrogen, with sulfur and hydrogen with oxygen. The ratio of sulfur and oxygen will combine with H2, isn't it? Hence we can say that when two elements combine with the same element, we will get the ratio, mass ratio, either same or multiple of that, with each other, we can say. With each other means with sulfur with oxygen only. Okay, so according to this statement, I can say when two elements combine with same element of same third element, we can say, when two elements combine with same mass of third elements, again here you will get 2 hydrogen and here you will get 2 hydrogen. Okay, two elements combine with same mass of third element, ratio of masses in which they do so, a ratio of masses in which they do so must be same or multiple, must be same or multiple mass ratio in which they combine with each other. Means sulfur and oxygen will combine either with the same ratio or with multiple of this. Okay, here 2 in terms of 2 multiplied by 2 I will get. So for different compounds it will get different, or say for different compounds it will get same, 1 is to 1. Okay, so in this way this law is important. We will take one more example to understand this law. Okay, I will again explain you this example. 3 elements I am going to combine, hydrogen, sulfur and oxygen. When hydrogen combine with sulfur, I will get H2S. Hydrogen combine with oxygen, I will get H2O. Okay, then sulfur combine with oxygen, I will get SO2. Okay, now I am going to write the ratio. Hydrogen to sulfur, it is 1 is to 16. Hydrogen to oxygen, it is 1 is to 8, and sulfur to oxygen, it is 1 is to 1. Okay, then I can say that, and if we take the ratio of sulfur to oxygen between these two compounds, it is 2 is to 1, and here sulfur to oxygen, it is 1 is to 1. Means what? If we combine two elements with the same mass of third element, means I am combining sulfur and oxygen as two elements in the same mass of hydrogen. Okay, then what I will get? I will get this mass ratio as 1 is to 1 or multiple in with each other, means sulfur with oxygen. So this is what the statement of this law of reciprocal proportion. Okay, now we will see one more example and understand this. So let us say again hydrogen, sodium and chlorine are there. When hydrogen combine with chlorine, so by volume it is 1 is to 1, and when then sodium combine with chlorine, it is also 1 is to 1. isn't it? So we can say here same mass ratio by volume, isn't it? So in this way you can easily prove this law of reciprocal proportion. So in this session we have seen law of basic. We started with this unit convergence. We have studied firstly significant figures, then we studied the what we can say the unit convergence. We have solved some basic problems on that. Then we started laws of chemical combinations. Out of 5 we have completed these 4 laws, and next law we will see in a next lecture. Okay, thank you. Now we are going to discuss most important concept of this subject, that is known as laws of chemical combination. Okay, now we have seen in the classification of pure substances, if you remember, pure substances can be classified into 2 types. First one is elements, and second one is compounds, isn't it? Now I already told you there, we are always interested to convert elements into compounds. Okay, now we cannot add 2 or more elements in a random way, and we are not expecting if we combine 2 elements together we will get compound. Okay, is it so? No. So in order to get the compounds from elements, what I have to do, I just have to add them in a chemical by chemical mean in a fixed proportion of by their weight and volume. Means if I want to get the compounds from the mixing of elements, how do I mix it? I have to mix it through chemical means by a fixed ratio of weight and volume. So in order to decide that fixed ratio of this particular chemical means, I have to use some laws. Okay, are you getting? Or we commonly call this as rules in our day-to-day words, day-to-day language. So in order to get the compound from the elements, we have to we have to combine the elements by using some laws and rules. So that laws and rules are nothing but the laws of chemical combinations. Okay, so in this way we will add the elements, 2 or more elements, and we will get 1 or more compound based on this fixed ratio of weight and volume. So that laws are known as basically laws of chemical combinations. Now we are going to discuss these 5 laws are there. We will discuss it one by one. And if you and this is most important, why we are why we are going to learn these laws. Okay, most of the time students don't know, they just started reading the laws and just remembering their statement. This is not like this. Okay, we have to understand the concept here also along with the theory. Okay, then we will proceed the laws one by one. So basically I will give you the names of the laws first. First law is law of what we can say conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. Then second law is law of fixed proportion. Law of fixed proportion. It is also called as combined proportion law or law of combined composition. Third law is law of multiple proportion. Okay, fourth law, actually it is not given in your book, but this law is most important. So this law is known as law of reciprocal proportion. And last law, that is known as Gay-Lussac's law. Okay, so it is not like this only these 5 laws are there. There are various laws, but these 5 laws are most important. We are going to discuss these laws, okay, in this session. So firstly we'll see I will just give you an idea of each and every law. According to the law of conservation of mass, okay, mass cannot be destroyed or converted. Mass cannot be created or destroyed. Okay, we just have to convert them into one form to another. Means what? The total mass of reactant is equal to total weight of reactant according to this law. Okay. Law of fixed proportion means what? Whatever the compound we are getting through mixing of elements, irrespective of its source, they have to mix by fixed proportion of their weight and volume. So this law is known as law of fixed proportion. So in third law, law of multiple proportion, it means what? When we add two or more elements, we will get compounds. Okay, so if we fix the mass of one element, and what will happen? Second element bears a whole number ratio to another element. Okay, so according to this law, we will see this law again. Then a law of reciprocal proportion means what? If three elements are there in the compound, and they will be appears either in a same proportion or in a multiple proportion according to this law. Then Gay-Lussac's law is what? When we combine two or more gases in order to get third gas, whatever the weight of reactant side, whatever the number of moles on reactant side equal to number of moles on product side according to Gay-Lussac's law. So let us study this law one by one. So firstly, we are going to discuss the law of conservation of mass. Okay. So before the statement, I will give you example of this law. So according to this law, as I already told you, total mass of reactant equal to total mass of product. Okay, only the thing which you have to remember is this: total mass of reactant equal to total mass of product. Okay, see here, let us see this by one example. For example, I am considering the common reaction. Carbon when mixed with O2, I will get CO2. As we all know, this side is reactant side and this side is a product side. We have already studied in 10th standard about this. Then if we see, if I want to calculate the atomic mass, so carbon is 12 unit, isn't it? Atomic mass of carbon. So atomic mass of oxygen is 16. Two atoms are there, so 2 into 16. So it becomes 12 plus 16 to the 32 equal to 44. Let us say gram. Okay, I am considering, let us say, gram atomic mass. Then for which here again on product side, this is all about reactant side, I will get 44 gram as the mass, total mass on reactant side. Let us check whether the same mass will I will get on the product side or not. Okay, so in case of CO2, again 12 atomic mass plus 2 into 16, so it is 12 plus 32, again it is 44 gram, isn't it? This 44 means what? According to this statement, total mass of reactant equal to total mass of the product. Hence this is what the law is, law of conservation of mass. We can take one more example, no issue. But according to this law, mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. Okay, so we will take one more example of this law and we will proceed. Okay. Let us take the example of NaCl AgNO3. Sodium chloride will mix with silver nitrate. What I will get? I will get NaNO3, that is sodium nitrate, NaNO3 plus AgCl, silver chloride. Okay. So in this example, this is some practical example. I will give you a practical situation here. Let us say H tube. You might have seen the H tube, or you will going to see in your laboratory of chemistry. So it is tube is like this. H shape is there. This is how it looks like. And here one separator wall is there. Okay, and this side contains, let us say, NaCl, and this side contains AgNO3. Okay, so this portion is open portion, means I am entering NaCl through this solution, and through this entry I am going to enter the AgNO3. Okay, going to pour AgNO3. So when they will mix with each other, what I will get? NaNO3, that is sodium nitrate, and AgCl as the product. So let us say on this reactant side total mass is x gram, is before reaction. After reaction, if I will get the same mass, that is x gram, then I can say that law of conservation of mass is applicable here. Okay, so if you see the example, you will come to know you will get the same mass. Then according to the statement, total mass of reactant, that is this reactant side, which is equal to total mass of product. This is your product side. Okay, so in this way this law is validated. So you just have to write down the examples in your examination, one or two examples, through which you can put this law in a very presentable manner. Okay, then we will discuss about the second law. Okay, that is known as law of fixed proportion or law of constant composition. Okay, if you want, you can take the snapshot of this. I will proceed further. Okay, so second law is law of fixed proportion. Or we called it as constant composition also, law of constant composition. See, according to this law, as we all know, we combine the elements and we will get compounds, and for which for the proper combination we have studied this law of chemical combination. When we combine two or more elements in order to get the compounds, or whatever the compound we are getting, irrespective of its sources. Okay, if the whatever the source it may be, whatever the compound I am getting, irrespective of sources, the combination I am getting is by fixed ratio of weight and volume. So this is the statement of this law of fixed proportion. For example, I will give you simple practical example. Let us say carbon dioxide. Okay, see here, if we see in case of carbon dioxide, so when we discuss about the sources, there are various sources through our vehicular emission, through our exhalation process from the plants exhalation, and from vehicles, we will get carbon dioxide, or carbon dioxide compound is produced. Means what? Irrespective of source, this compound, if you see, one volume of carbon is there and one volume of oxygen is there, or two volume of oxygen is there, two atom of oxygen. So by volume it is fixed. Means what? If we combine one volume of carbon with two volume of oxygen, I will get carbon dioxide, irrespective of source. It is not like that. For vehicle, if you getting carbon dioxide, combination is like this, from exhaust or from exhalation process. If you get carbon dioxide, proportion is like this by volume. I am discussing about volume first. Then whatever the CO2 get from the plants, so if we take it, you will observe 1:2 proportion by volume. So this is what, irrespective of source, elements are combined by fixed ratio of weight and volume. So we discuss about the volume, now we will discuss about the weight. So in this example, if we see the weight, for example, carbon is atomic mass is 12, oxygen is 16, 2, that is 32. So if I will simplify it, I will get this ratio as a 12 3s are 12, 4 3s are 12 and 4 8s are 32. So this ratio by weight. Okay, see, what I meant to say is, I am getting carbon dioxide through various sources. Okay, irrespective of source, they are combined, means carbon atom or element of carbon and oxygen will combine by a fixed ratio of weight and volume. Means if you see the any carbon dioxide compound, you will come to know by volume they are 1:2 and by weight they are 3:8. Okay, so this is what the statement is. You can easily understand this concept by another example. I am taking this as a H2O for example. Okay, so H2O, there are various sources again. Means let us say river, rain, sea. So these are the sources of water. Okay, so for example here you will get two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. So this is by volume, isn't it? And if you see two atoms of oxygen by weight 2 atoms of hydrogen and 16 atoms of oxygen having atomic mass 16, hydrogen is having atomic mass 1, but 2 atoms are there, so I can write 2. So 2:16, I will simplify it, I will get 1:8, isn't it? So this is by weight. Means what? If you see the H2O compound, whatever the source of H2O it is, they will always combine two elements, hydrogen and oxygen are always combined in a ratio. If we consider volume, it will be 2:1. If you consider weight, it is 1:8. Okay, so in this way, law of fixed proportion says that irrespective of the sources, means when we combine two or more elements to get compound, that compound we are getting irrespective of sources, the elements are combined by a fixed ratio by weight and volume. Okay, so in this way this law is there. So I will give you two practical examples. You just have to write it down in your examination if asked. Okay, so we will see some one or two numericals based on this unit conversion and we will proceed. Okay, let us say first example. Convert 10 miles into kilometers. Convert 10 miles into kilometers. Okay, as we all know, 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometer. Therefore 10 miles equal to how much according to the unitary method? 10 into 1.6 by 1 itself. So simply it is 16 kilometer, isn't it? So in this way you can easily calculate you can easily convert the miles into kilometers or kilometers into miles. Okay, so I will see one more example here. So let us say 60 liter of atmospheric pressure into joules. 60 liter atmospheric pressure into joules. Convert 60 liter atmospheric pressure into joules. Okay, so as we all know this unit, 1 liter atmospheric pressure, this is 1 liter atmospheric pressure equal to 101.32 joules, isn't it? So if this is 101.32 joules, then 60 liter atmosphere is equal to how much amount of joules? Simply, therefore I can write here 60 into 101.32. So if I will multiply 0 as it is, 6 2s are 12, 1 is remaining, 6 3s are 18, 19, again 1 is remaining, 6 1s are 6 7, and 6 0 is 0, then 6 1s are again 6. So it becomes 607.920. Okay, after this, actually it is 60 into 101.32, so it becomes this 0 as it is, so it is 6079.20 is the answer in terms of joule. Okay, because this 0 is already there, because I am just multiplying it by 60 as it is. So your answer will be 6079.20 joules. So in this way you can easily use this conversion, unit conversion, and you will have basic idea about this unit. So that purpose I am giving these examples. Now we will discuss next concept that is most important in our subject, that is known as laws of chemical combination. Okay. Laws of chemical combinations.